this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to you another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. And April 2nd, 2012 marks 14 years ago that history was made on Raw when Brock Lesnar made his shocking return to WWE the night after WrestleMania 28 for the first time in 8 years and kicked off a second destructive run, one that still rages on to this day as we speak. And for today's special edition, I am going to be discussing the success and failures of Brock Lesnar's second WWE run from April 2012 to August 2023. They say never. Anything can happen in WWE. And that's what makes WWE such an unpredictable beast because 95% of the time, you never really know what's coming next. Brock Lesnar, as we all know, debuted in WWE the night after WrestleMania 18 in March 2002, and he made a huge impact. He conquered and destroyed every single legend that was placed in front of him, from Ric Flair to Hulk Hogan to The Rock to The Undertaker to The Big Show to Kurt Angle. He won the Royal Rumble, he won the WWE title 3 times, and also became the youngest WWE champion ever at 25 years old, before that record was shattered by Randy Orton. And he also won the King of the Ring 2002 tournament. You name it, Brock Lesnar did it all. And the shocking thing about Brock Lesnar's first WWE run, it lasted 2 years. And what a 2 years he had. He done so much in such a short time. If you were watching his first run for the first time, you probably would be under the impression he had been there maybe 5 or 6 years. But he wasn't. He was only there for 2 years. And he left after WrestleMania 20 because he was sick of the traveling and the lifestyle of WWE, and he wanted to break out and venture into other fields. Brock Lesnar tried out for the NFL, which didn't go so well. He would make numerous appearances in New Japan, but then ultimately he would delve straight into the world of UFC and became a household name and one of the biggest box office draws of all time. And it seemed like WWE was the furthest thing away from Brock Lesnar's radar. And Brock Lesnar gave the impression that he wanted nothing to do with WWE, and in turn, it looked like WWE wanted nothing to do with Brock Lesnar. And it seemed like, for all intents and purposes, on both sides, Brock Lesnar and WWE were pretty much done with each other. And as a big fan of Brock Lesnar, I was very disappointed that Brock Lesnar left because, number one, he was one of my all time favorites. And number two, I would have loved to have seen him stay in WWE and have some more epic matches. Maybe a match against Batista, maybe a match against Shawn Michaels, maybe a beatdown on JBL, a match against Kane when he was still wearing the mask. You know, there were so many matches featuring Brock Lesnar that were left on the table that never really got touched upon. And that really disappointed me. And, you know, the idea of Brock Lesnar coming back to WWE just seemed like it was never going to happen. But like we always say when it comes to wrestling, never say never. Anything could happen. So going into 2012, there were rumors going around that Brock Lesnar could be coming back. Now, I remember at the time, I was thinking to myself, Yeah, Brock Lesnar coming back? I don't think so. WWE has completely changed to what it was when Brock Lesnar was there. When Brock Lesnar was in WWE, they still had a TV 14 certificate. So, things were a lot more edgier and a lot more violent. And Brock Lesnar fit into that environment perfectly. Fast forward to 2012, WWE is now PG, and the idea of someone as violent and aggressive as Brock Lesnar in a PG WWE didn't appeal to me. It just I just couldn't envision it. I thought Brock Lesnar in a PG WWE, that's like having Stone Cold still wrestling in a PG format. It just doesn't work for their personas. So at WrestleMania 28, I heard a rumor that Brock Lesnar was going to get involved in the Rock versus John Cena match, and he was going to attack someone. Wasn't entirely sure who it could be. My money would probably have been on John Cena because of their history that they had. Couldn't really see Brock Lesnar going after The Rock because, The Rock was the guy who really passed the torch to Brock Lesnar when The Rock was at his best in his prime back in 2002. He did the favors, he did the job to Brock Lesnar, he put him on the map, and Rock left for Hollywood, even though he was still a part time guy. But for all intent and purposes, he was pretty much on his way out. So nothing happened at WrestleMania 28. But here's where things got really interesting. So the next night on Raw, after WrestleMania 28, John Cena was in the ring getting absolutely booed out of the building because by this point, the fans were just sick and tired of his act. And John Cena called out The Rock to pretty much shake his hand and say that, look, you were the better man, you beat me, well done. So we're all sitting there expecting The Rock to come out, and then it happened. Brock Lesnar's music hit Raw. The place went mad. And I remember watching it, thinking to myself, this can't be happening. Am I hearing this? Am I hearing Brock Lesnar's music play on Raw? Nah, this can't be happening. And then out walked Brock Lesnar to the biggest pop ever. And holy cow, Brock Lesnar looked bigger than ever, more dangerous than ever. The beast was back. The place went crazy. And that's the thing I've always liked about Brock Lesnar. This is what makes him one of my all time favorites. Brock Lesnar, he could be gone for years. He could be gone for weeks and months. Doesn't matter how long. But as soon as Brock Lesnar's music hits and he comes out, the place goes mad. He just gets a monstrous pop. And as I said before, the sort of reaction Brock Lesnar gets from wrestling fans is not really what you would call your traditional wrestling pop. If you look at all of the big names and the sort of pops they get, I'll give you a couple of examples. When the glass shatters and Stone Cold comes out, the place goes mad. That's more like, okay, here comes Stone Cold ready to beat everybody up. That's more like, a fighting, brawling sort of reaction. Like, oh, okay, here we go. The fight's just got even more intense. When Rock's music hits, when you hear "If You Smell," there's a level of excitement. The Rock comes out, everyone's in awe. Oh my God, The Rock's here. What's he going to do? This is bad news for whoever's in the ring. Oh my God, this is so cool. The Rock's here. When the lights go out and the gong hits, Undertaker comes out, everyone's like, oh my Lord, Undertaker's here. Or when an explosion goes off and Kane comes out, everyone's like, oh crap, someone's getting hurt here. You know, everyone's got their reaction from fans. But when Brock Lesnar comes out, his reaction from the fans, as I said before, it's like something you would see for a fighter or boxer, when the fans see Brock Lesnar, they go mad for this badass fighter. And I've always looked at Brock Lesnar as that. He's a big guy. He can wrestle. He can do all the things you would expect from a great technical wrestler. But Brock Lesnar has always been portrayed and depicted as this badass fighter who could beat anyone with his bare hands. And that's how I've always looked at Brock Lesnar. He's this iconic fighter. When he comes out, someone's getting knocked out badly. And I remember that, seeing Brock Lesnar on the stage on Raw, I thought, oh my God, we've gone back to the Ruthless Aggression era. It was crazy. And hearing Michael Cole doing the commentary, I thought, we've just gone back to 2002 or 3. The one thing that would have made Brock Lesnar's return even more special is if we had Taz on commentary saying those iconic words, well, here comes the pain. That would have sealed it. And Brock Lesnar slowly walking to the ring. John Cena standing there with a stupid smile on his face. And I remember sitting there thinking, right, I wouldn't be smiling if I saw someone who looks like Brock Lesnar coming to the ring. I would be on my guard. And that's what's always irritated me about John Cena is you have these big opponents coming for him. He just smiles it off, like, oh, it's just Brock Lesnar, But if it was someone like Stone Cold, he would probably jump out of the ring and get a chair because it's Brock Lesnar. Rock would probably stand his ground, just say, right, I'm going to be extra careful here. Or if it's someone like The Undertaker, he'll probably take his coat off and take his bandana off and pull his vest straps down and said, okay, let's fight. Or if it's someone like Kurt Angle, he'll probably challenge Brock Lesnar to come in the ring. But with John Cena, he just didn't take Brock Lesnar seriously. So, Brock Lesnar comes in the ring. John Cena sticks his hand out to shake his hand. Big mistake there. And Brock Lesnar delivered a devastating F5 to John Cena. And the place went crazy. And the one thing that really stood out to me from that moment was not so much the F5 to Cena, it's what he did after. He just kicked Cena's green cap out of the ring, like, get this crap out of my ring. This is mine now. I'm back. And it was great. I just thought to myself, this can't be happening. Brock Lesnar back in WWE. It was like nearly 8 years since we last saw Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring. That old saying, never say never, anything could happen, and it did. Brock Lesnar was back in WWE, and I was excited. I thought, oh my God, Brock Lesnar's back. It's bad news for everyone. What show is he going on? Is he going on Raw? Is he going to go to SmackDown? We didn't know. But this run for Brock Lesnar, his second run, was very different to the first one for a number of reasons. Obviously, WWE is now PG, so there was that side of things. But it wasn't just that. Obviously, the crop of talent has completely changed. When Brock Lesnar came in to WWE in 2002, it was like a Hall of Fame roster. You had Undertaker, Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Kurt Angle, Big Show, Kane, all these guys, it's like a who's who of wrestling royalty. Now, in 2012, Brock Lesnar's back. The roster's changed. So you've got John Cena, CM Punk, Randy Orton. You've got all these different names, very different roster to what Brock Lesnar worked in. And Brock Lesnar, his run this time round, he was more of a part timer. So he would do like a handful of appearances. He wouldn't necessarily be on TV every single week, as opposed to how his first run was, where he was there every single week competing. Brock Lesnar's contract for his second run, he would just do like a little handful of shows. So, for example, if you had a show like Extreme Rules, he would probably make 3 appearances on TV, and then he'll compete at the pay per view and he will be gone. So he was used more as a special attraction. Maybe not in the manner like The Undertaker was, because he was used as a special attraction mostly for WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar, on the other hand, he was used as a special attraction for mainly big pay per views. So maybe a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, or depending on who the opponent was. But his schedule was very limited. He would make a little handful of appearances and he will be gone. So you might not see him for maybe 3 or 4 months. That's just how it was. And while I was happy to see Brock Lesnar back, it bothered me because when he came back, I thought, okay, he's going to be here every single week and he's going to basically feud with everyone. That didn't quite work out that way. So his first opponent was, of course, John Cena, and his first match was at Extreme Rules 2012. This was Brock Lesnar's first pay per view match since WrestleMania 20 from 2004. And Brock Lesnar, his look was a little bit different. Whereas before Brock Lesnar used to wear little black trunks, now he looked more like a UFC fighter. So he wore like these long black red striped shorts with these black boots and wearing the UFC boxing gloves. So he was definitely portrayed more this time round as a fighter. And throughout the whole build up, it was really good because, you know, Brock Lesnar made it all feel real. He made it feel very legit, and he bloodied Cena's mouth after he punched him in the face. So that's what I always liked about Brock Lesnar. When he came in, it felt real. It felt different. It felt like a big deal. When he comes out, everyone's like, "Oh my God, Brock Lesnar's here! Someone's getting killed!" And the Extreme Rules match was very good. Brock Lesnar absolutely killed John Cena. He bloodied him, which was quite a rarity, considering that blood was pretty much restricted on PG programming. But Brock Lesnar didn't care. He absolutely destroyed him. But unfortunately, Brock Lesnar didn't win. John Cena beat him. And that really annoyed me because you have Brock Lesnar. This is his first match back in 8 years in WWE. I would have had him go over. I would have had Brock Lesnar win that match. Not a great start for Brock Lesnar. He should have been built up strong from day one. I still don't understand why to this day they had Cena win. I know someone's probably going to say, well, you can't have John Cena lose 2 straight pay per views. No, you probably can't. But it's all right for everyone else, though. But it's John Cena. No, he's got to get his win back. No, please. Brock Lesnar going over would have built him up as a monster. John Cena did not need another win. I mean, come on now. But that is another story for another day. So after John Cena beat Brock Lesnar would, you know, get into a feud with Triple H. Now, this was actually something I had high hopes for because, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H, the idea of those two going at it, was very appealing to me because we nearly got it in 2002, but that didn't happen. And this all started after, Brock Lesnar pretty much held WWE up for hostage and he demanded more money. So this pretty much made him a heel. This is what happened. So this led to a match between Triple H and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2012 as a result of Brock Lesnar breaking Triple H's arm, and he broke Shawn Michaels' arm. And the match itself, it was pretty good. I thought it was a good match. I probably would have preferred to see it more when they were both in their prime, back in 2002, or even three for that matter. But it was a good match. It was mostly a brawl. It wasn't really what you would call a technical masterpiece, but it was a fun match. And Brock Lesnar won. He defeated Triple H using the Kimura lock, which is like this armbar behind your back sort of move. And yeah, he pretty much broke Triple H's arm again. And yeah, Brock Lesnar went over, which was good. I'm glad he went over because the idea of Triple H going over on Brock Lesnar would just annoyed the hell out of me. But it worked. It was a very good match. And Brock Lesnar pretty much was announced that he had quit WWE storyline wise. So that was pretty much it. So we wouldn't really see Brock Lesnar throughout the rest of 2012. He would come back in 2013 on the January 28th edition of Raw, where he attacked Vince McMahon. And this led to Triple H coming back to avenge his father in law. And Triple H brought out a new look. He cut all his long hair off and he's got very short hair. And this led to a no holds barred match at WrestleMania 29 with the stipulation that if Brock Lesnar defeated Triple H, his career was over. Yeah, that's a bit silly, isn't it? A retired wrestler coming out of retirement for a retirement match. It's so silly. So Brock Lesnar lost his first WrestleMania match in 9 years. This is where the failures are coming into it. So you have Brock Lesnar lose his first match on pay per view to John Cena. Okay, still don't like that decision. So SummerSlam, you have Brock Lesnar win. That's fine. Then you have him lose at WrestleMania 29. So by this point, as far as pay per view matches are concerned, Brock Lesnar has had three pay per view matches and he's lost two out of three. Not good if you're Brock Lesnar. Why hasn't he won all three? Why? Just strange booking. So this would lead to Triple H and Brock Lesnar having another match, this time at Extreme Rules in a steel cage match, and Brock Lesnar would win. So already now, he's faced John Cena once, and you've wasted three matches on Triple H. He should have just beat Triple H and then move on to a different opponent. So Brock Lesnar's won now. So we've got four pay per views. He lost at Extreme Rules to John Cena. He won at SummerSlam. He lost at WrestleMania 29. And now he's won against Triple H. So he's won pretty much out of four matches. He's won two. It's ridiculous. Two out of four. Not good. Not good at all. So after Brock Lesnar was done with Triple H, a very interesting development took place because around this time, his manager, Paul Heyman, was also managing CM Punk. Now, Paul Heyman was managing both guys at the same time, but they never appeared together on TV. So there were rumors going around that we could possibly see maybe a new faction starting up, maybe with the Shield, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, and Paul Heyman. Think of Paul Heyman's Dangerous Alliance, something like that. But we never got it, which is a real shame because that would have been a great thing for business, in my opinion. But it is what it is. We didn't get it. So there was always a question of Well, if Brock Lesnar does make his next appearance, which side is Paul Heyman going to choose? Is he going to stay with his best friend, CM Punk, or is he going to stay loyal to his client, Brock Lesnar? So around this time, CM Punk was now a babyface, and Paul Heyman had cost CM Punk an opportunity to win the briefcase at the Money in the Bank pay per view in July. So this led to Brock Lesnar coming back, and this kicked off a very intense and violent feud. Now, considering that this was a short program between Lesnar and Punk, I actually really enjoyed this one a lot because, Brock Lesnar at this point, he was really built up strong as a beast, even though he lost a couple of matches since coming back, but he never lost that aura, he never lost that mystique. He was really depicted very strongly as this dangerous beast. And CM Punk, considering that he was a lot smaller than Brock Lesnar, he really made you believe that, you know what, if there's anybody who's got a good chance of beating Brock Lesnar, it's CM Punk. And a lot of fans called it Wolverine versus the Hulk, which I thought was quite cool actually. It did kind of reminded me of that a little bit. You know, CM Punk's Wolverine and Brock Lesnar is the Incredible Hulk. So it did kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And CM Punk and Brock Lesnar would go on to face each other at SummerSlam 2013. And I've gone on record many times. I've said this to a number of friends. I've said this to anybody who's asked me. CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar was by far the best match of SummerSlam 2013. It was the best match of the show. And I would go on record to say that was Brock Lesnar's best match since he came back. And he's had a lot of good ones after that, but that one in particular was very good. It was really good. It was a no disqualification match, and CM Punk, he really looked strong, and he really came close to beating Brock Lesnar, and it was a fantastic match. I really loved it. I watched it back again, a few months ago, and it was great. Just absolutely enjoyed it. It was a hard hitting match, and Brock Lesnar was at his best as the unstoppable beast, and CM Punk was at his best as the guy who just wouldn't give up. And he really looked like he could hang with Brock Lesnar. And I never really got the sense with other people, yeah, they could beat Brock Lesnar. I always did say that, yeah, they'll probably beat Brock Lesnar, but because, politics or some crap like that. But with CM Punk, he made it feel really believable. And it was great. It was a fantastic match. Brock Lesnar won. And it's quite interesting because I thought there would be a rematch. Maybe CM Punk would want to have another crack at the Beast, but sadly, that never happened. And it was pretty much a one and done affair. But I liked it. It was a really good match. Both guys were at their peak. And as I said, it was the best match Brock Lesnar had since coming back to WWE. And really enjoyed it. It's definitely up there as one of his best performances ever. And Brock Lesnar always turns it up a notch at SummerSlam. And I've always said that SummerSlam is kind of like Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania. He really steps his game up and really pulls out all the stops. And he really did here. And it was great. Loved it. So after Brock Lesnar was done with CM Punk, he would disappear once again, and he would return at the end of the year on the December 30th edition of Raw, and started positioning himself as a challenger for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So after he destroyed Mark Henry, he would renew one of his most iconic feuds with The Big Show, which culminated in a match at the Royal Rumble 2014 pay per view, which is ironically enough over a decade since the last time that the Big Show and Brock Lesnar had faced, which was in a winner qualifiers to the Royal Rumble match. And Brock Lesnar just absolutely destroyed the Big Show. And by this point, Big Show was pretty much not the same giant that he was when Brock Lesnar faced him during his first run in WWE. So he pretty much made short work of the Big Show. And around this time, Paul Heyman felt that Brock Lesnar was being treated as almost as an afterthought by WWE. And Brock Lesnar was itching to get into the title picture and face Randy Orton for the title at WrestleMania 30. And Triple H and Stephanie McMahon gave Brock Lesnar an open contract to have a match against an opponent of his choosing. And you know the rest already. Paul Heyman would constantly preach about my client, Brock Lesnar, isn't interested in consolation prizes. My client wants to make history. You will give my client history to conquer because if you don't, then me and Brock Lesnar are out of here. You can have WrestleMania all you want, but you won't be having it with Brock Lesnar being part of the show. We're out of here. And then The Undertaker came out, and this led to a match being signed between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 with the streak on the line. Now, I've talked about this before, and we won't go on about it too much, but the build up for WrestleMania 30 for The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar was pretty weak. It was pretty much phoned in. Everyone seemed like they were going through the motions. Brock Lesnar was hardly there on TV. I think he probably made about 3 appearances, which is rubbish, really. Undertaker was there all throughout the build up, and Paul Heyman was there all throughout the build up. And Paul Heyman and The Undertaker pretty much did all the hard work, all the donkey work, and Brock Lesnar was hardly there. So, the build up wasn't that great. And Brock Lesnar was not really built up as a dangerous threat to ending the streak of The Undertaker because prior to this, you know, Brock Lesnar had lost a couple of matches. Obviously he won a couple, but if you're going to have Brock Lesnar end the streak, and I'm not saying I would have done this, have Brock Lesnar go over. But if we're going to do this, what should have happened is Brock Lesnar should have remained undefeated from the day he walked back into WWE. He should have destroyed John Cena and beat him. He should have beat Triple H all 3 times. Yes, that's right. Beat CM Punk, beat Big Show, keep him undefeated all throughout, and then when you get to WrestleMania 30 against The Undertaker, you've kind of got this little streak versus streak thing. And when Brock Lesnar does beat The Undertaker, that just makes it even more bigger. Because prior to him ending the streak, he'd already lost a couple of matches. Yes, he won some, but he lost a little bit more. And quite frankly, I love Brock Lesnar. He's one of my all time favorites. He really didn't need the rub. Undertaker had never beaten Brock Lesnar ever. In fact, going back to their first run, you know, Undertaker was Brock Lesnar's biggest opponent, and Brock Lesnar had always got the better of The Undertaker. He beat him every single time they faced. I just think for this occasion, Brock Lesnar should have done the job to The Undertaker. He should have gone over. He should have had Undertaker go over and Brock Lesnar lost because I don't think a loss would have hurt Brock Lesnar. I know what I said before, about keeping Brock Lesnar strong. But for this, yeah, there was no need for Undertaker to win this personally. The match was terrible. Undertaker got a concussion, which hurt his in ring performance. Hats off to Brock Lesnar. He kept The Undertaker safe and carried the whole match as best as he could. So mega respect to him for doing that. Undertaker looked his age. He looked old. He looked out of shape and very gaunt. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable viewing, watching this near 50-year-old man getting absolutely demolished by this big guy in his 30s. It was just not good for comfortable watching, personally. So after Brock Lesnar ended the streak, delivering three F5s to The Undertaker, this made Brock Lesnar the most hated man in WWE. And a lot of that is thanks to Paul Heyman, bragging on about how Brock Lesnar conquered the streak and even came out in a t shirt wearing Eat, Sleep, Conquer the Streak. And Brock Lesnar came out of that match with a ton of nuclear heat. He was so hated. But in hindsight, as much as I wouldn't have wanted Brock Lesnar to end the streak, I suppose from a believable point of view, who else could have done it? As much as I was against it, Brock Lesnar, I guess, fits the bill because are you really going to be the guy to go up to Brock Lesnar and tell him to his face that what you did was wrong? I wouldn't. And that's what really made him a bigger monster than he was already. So after beating The Undertaker and ending the undefeated streak, bringing Undertaker's record to 21-1, Brock Lesnar pretty much disappeared from TV for a long time. Paul Heyman would still come out every so often to remind everyone, oh, just to let you know, my client Brock Lesnar ended the streak. He's the one in 21-1, so good heel work from Paul Heyman. So the next time we would see Brock Lesnar would be in August, where he would face John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And their match at SummerSlam 2014 was a squash fest. It was an absolute squash fest. Brock Lesnar absolutely murdered John Cena and delivered 16 suplexes and two F5s. Mad. Just absolutely mad. But you know what? It worked because to go from crushing The Undertaker at WrestleMania to humbling and humiliating John Cena. So you think about that. Undertaker, the biggest wrestling legend of all time. And then you've got John Cena, the biggest star of the modern era. Undertaker, John Cena. Not bad. Not bad. That's all I'm going to say. And I've always looked at this as when Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena. Yes, John Cena came back and got another title match, but he was never the same after that. If you noticed that, he never came back and got the cheap win like he usually does. That was it. Cena was pretty much gone. I mean, yeah, he wasn't gone. He would still come back after a number of times, but you noticed that he wasn't the same. He never went for Brock Lesnar again until obviously they would still run into each other, but never crossed paths much after that. So there's something to think about. So after Brock Lesnar became the champion, he would face John Cena again in a rematch at Night of Champions. Brock Lesnar retained, and Brock Lesnar would pretty much disappear with the title. And this is where another failure would come into it because Brock Lesnar holding the title was great, but he was never there to defend it. He was hardly on TV, which was ridiculous. And that hurt the title because you could have used the title to elevate more talent, but that didn't happen. So, fast forward to Royal Rumble 2015, Brock Lesnar would defend his title in an excellent triple threat match against John Cena and Seth Rollins, which was a really good match. And Brock Lesnar was kind of still a heel, but more of a tweener. And then he would face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31, and Roman Reigns would probably be Brock Lesnar's biggest opponent of his second run because he faced Brock Lesnar more times than anyone else. And yeah, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, good, but overdone. Just absolutely overdone. But you could argue that, well, who else is a bigger opponent of the current era in WWE? Can't say Taker. Been there, done that. Undertaker is a veteran. I probably guess you could say it's Roman Reigns. And Brock Lesnar would lose the title at WrestleMania 31 after Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank contract and pinned Roman Reigns. So even though Brock Lesnar lost the title, he was still kept strong. He wasn't technically beat. So that was good. And the next night, Brock Lesnar attempted to get his rematch, but he ended up attacking announcers and a cameraman after he was denied the title, and this led to him getting suspended storyline wise. So we wouldn't really see Brock Lesnar again until around June, where he would go on to challenge Seth Rollins for the title at Battleground, and this led to him, feuding with the Undertaker once again after Undertaker came back and cost Brock Lesnar the title. And around this time, Brock Lesnar beat Kofi Kingston. He just absolutely murdered him. So around this time, he was feuding with The Undertaker again. So Brock Lesnar lost to The Undertaker at SummerSlam 2015 in a really good match, which was much better than WrestleMania 30. And Brock Lesnar would go on to get the last word in their violent feud when Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match after a low blow and an F5, thus bringing their feud to an end. And even though I enjoyed their second Hell in a Cell match, I thought their first one was much better. But the second one was still good. It was still watchable. It was still entertaining. But I thought their first one was much better. So we wouldn't really see Brock Lesnar back until 2016 on the July 11th edition of Raw, where he came back and destroyed the New Day, the League of Nations, and Kevin Owens, and delivered an F5 on Roman Reigns. So this led to Brock Lesnar brawling with Roman Reigns until both of them were attacked by the Wyatt family. And Brock Lesnar would enter the 2016 Royal Rumble match where he eliminated Jack Swagger and the entire Wyatt family, minus Bray Wyatt, before he was eliminated by the Wyatt family members who he had eliminated first. And he defeated Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper in a 2-on-1 handicap match at the Roadblock pay per view. And Brock Lesnar also lost a triple threat match, which would have guaranteed him a title match at WrestleMania 32. And this led to Brock Lesnar facing Dean Ambrose in a no holds barred match at WrestleMania 32, which was a massive disappointment because I'd hoped for a really crazy, wild affair, but yeah, it was a huge letdown. So Brock Lesnar once again would disappear, and this is where the failures are coming in because Brock Lesnar would come in, his hearts, do his thing, and then he disappears for months on end. So that kind of hurts him in this second run. He still had a dominant second run, but at the same time, he just wasn't there enough. That's the problem. So around this time, Brock Lesnar faced Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016, which is the first and only time, I believe, that they have ever faced on a pay per view. They did have one other match in September in 2002 on SmackDown, but as far as pay per views, that was it. It was the only time, which is quite amazing, really, when you think about it, because Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton both came into WWE around the same time. So for them to have only one pay-per-view match, which came years later, it's quite shocking, really, when you think about it. So this led to Brock Lesnar absolutely destroying Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016. He'd pretty much leave him in a bloody heap. But it was a good match. It was a very good match. I quite enjoyed it. That was one of my other dream matches that I wanted to see. You know, Legend Killer versus Legend Killer. Although Brock Lesnar never called himself Legend Killer, but I would have liked to have seen that. And we did, but I just would have preferred if it was built up more when Brock Lesnar was destroying legends and Randy Orton was doing the same sort of thing. I would have preferred that. So this led to Brock Lesnar facing Goldberg at Survivor Series 2016, where he would lose very quickly in 1 minute and 26 seconds. See, again, you have someone end Undertaker's streak, and you've pretty much built up Brock Lesnar as this unstoppable monster, and then Goldberg comes in and just pretty much takes a dump on the whole thing. Bear in mind, this was the first time that Brock Lesnar and Goldberg had faced each other since WrestleMania 20. What should have happened was Brock Lesnar should have absolutely destroyed Goldberg, but that didn't happen. But yeah, again, another failure because again, Brock Lesnar's taken another loss. So as we move forward to 2017, Brock Lesnar was eliminated by Goldberg, and around this time, Goldberg won the WWE Universal title at Fastlane, and this led to another match between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, this time at WrestleMania 33, and Brock Lesnar beat Goldberg to win the Universal title. And this was actually a much better match. It was short, but it wasn't like 1 minute. I think it was like 7 to 9 minutes long, and it was so much better. And I'm so glad that Brock Lesnar finally got that definitive win over Goldberg. So Brock Lesnar would feud with Samoa Joe and retain his Universal title at the Great Balls of Fire pay per view. And then fast forward to SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar would defend his Universal title in a fatal four-way match against Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman. And Brock Lesnar would retain the title after he pinned Roman Reigns, and he would go on to feud with Braun Strowman, which culminated in a match at No Mercy 2017, where Brock Lesnar retained his Universal title. And then he would go on to have an excellent champion versus champion match at Survivor Series 2017 when he defeated AJ Styles. And then we would see Brock Lesnar successfully retain his Universal title in a triple threat match against Braun Strowman and Kane. And this was the only time in an actual match that we got Kane and Brock Lesnar. They did mix it up a little bit in the Royal Rumble 2003 match, but as far as like an official match, this was the only time. Really wish we got something with Lesnar and Kane. We should have. And then this led to Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns feuding again, and Brock Lesnar faced Roman Reigns again at WrestleMania 34. And yeah, this wasn't very good. I'm sorry. It was just finisher after finisher, constant F5 after F5. Yeah, it just wasn't a good match. And, I like their matches, but as I said earlier, Roman Reigns probably is the biggest opponent for Brock Lesnar in his current run, but it's been overdone. It has been overdone. And they would face again in a steel cage match. Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns again. Yeah, it just got old really fast. And Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns would face each other one more time at SummerSlam 2018, where Roman Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar and became the new Universal Champion, bringing Brock Lesnar's title reign to an end after holding the title for 504 days. That is crazy. And to make matters worse, Brock Lesnar was champion for 504 days, but it was hardly on TV. So that makes it so stupid. So Brock Lesnar would come back at the Hell in a Cell 2018 pay per view and interfering in the Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman match and basically laying both of them out. And this led to a triple threat match at Crown Jewel, but it became a singles match after Roman Reigns was forced to forfeit the title due to leukemia, and Brock Lesnar won back the Universal title and defeated Braun Strowman in 3 minutes to become a two-time Universal Champion. And this led to Brock Lesnar facing Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series 2018 in a champion versus champion match where Brock Lesnar defeated Daniel Bryan, and then he would go on to successfully retain his Universal title against Finn Balor as the Royal Rumble 2019. And then Brock Lesnar would go on to face the Royal Rumble 2019 winner Seth Rollins. And this would lead to a match at WrestleMania 35 where Seth Rollins defeated Brock Lesnar and ending his second reign at 156 days. Absolutely crazy, that is. Absolutely mad. And then Brock Lesnar won the Money in the Bank ladder match at the pay per view in 2019. And Brock Lesnar would go on to cash in his contract at Extreme Rules, where he defeated Seth Rollins to become a three-time Universal Champion, and he would lose it back to Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2019, bringing his third title reign to an end at just 28 days this time. So around this time, Brock Lesnar came back to SmackDown on the September 17th, 2019 edition, where he challenged Kofi Kingston for the WWE title, and Kofi Kingston accepted, and Brock Lesnar just beat him after one F5. Absolutely stupid. 8 seconds to beat him. Brock Lesnar's first match on SmackDown since 2004. That's 15 years now. And yeah, just say no more. Just say no more. Brock Lesnar would then go on to face Cain Velasquez at Crown Jewel 2019, where he defeated him in under 5 minutes. Rey Mysterio would then go on to challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at Survivor Series 2019, where Brock Lesnar retained the title despite Rey Mysterio's son Dominic getting involved and attempting to help his dad. And around this time, as we move into 2020, Brock Lesnar declared that no one deserved an opportunity to face him for the WWE title, and he decided that he would enter the Royal Rumble match as number one. And Brock Lesnar pretty much was on a tear. He eliminated 13 guys in the Rumble match, which is quite impressive. And he was eliminated by Drew McIntyre, which is quite impressive, really, because, you know, Brock Lesnar by this point was pretty much unstoppable, and Drew McIntyre just basically humiliated him, which would set the stage for their match at WrestleMania 36. So Brock Lesnar would go on to face Ricochet at Super Showdown, where he would retain the WWE title, and this led to Brock Lesnar losing the WWE title to Drew McIntyre on night two of WrestleMania 36 to an empty building. And that would be pretty much it, really. Drew McIntyre was now the new champion, and Brock Lesnar would pretty much disappear. He was gone for quite a long time. And There was rumors going around that maybe he was retired or he's done, and we wouldn't really see him again until SummerSlam 2021, where he returned at the end of the John Cena versus Roman Reigns title match, and he was now babyface. He had really long hair with a ponytail and a big beard, and now was in this farmer cowboy sort of look. So you could kind of say that this was like happy Brock Lesnar, but still a monster. But now he was a babyface and having fun with the fans, which is something you don't really would think. You know, you wouldn't really say fun and Brock Lesnar in the same sentence. And this led to a renewal of the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns rivalry. They would face at Crown Jewel 2021, where Brock Lesnar would lose. And then we would also see Brock Lesnar regain the title and he would lose it to Bobby Lashley at the Royal Rumble 2022. Then Brock Lesnar would end up putting himself in the Royal Rumble match and winning it for the second time. And then he would regain the title at the Elimination Chamber and he would face Roman Reigns again, this time at WrestleMania 38 in a winner take all title unification match. Brock Lesnar would lose the title to Roman Reigns, and that, of course, led to Roman Reigns having the longest title reign in the modern era. Brock Lesnar would face Roman Reigns again in a last man standing match at SummerSlam, and Brock Lesnar would lose that as well. So Brock Lesnar lost quite a few matches here, but he was still a monster. He really was. And Brock Lesnar would go away again. He would come back in October 2022. He would feud with Bobby Lashley again. He would defeat Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel 2022. And Brock Lesnar would face Bobby Lashley again at Elimination Chamber 2023, where he would lose to Lashley by disqualification. And this would lead to Brock Lesnar facing Omos at WrestleMania 39, and he defeated Omos. And then he would turn heel after WrestleMania 39, where he feuded with Cody Rhodes, and Brock Lesnar would lose to Cody Rhodes at Backlash. Brock Lesnar defeated Cody Rhodes at Night of Champions by submission, and then at SummerSlam 2023, Brock Lesnar would lose to Cody Rhodes again, and this would bring an end to their feud, and the two would shake hands and embrace, and that would be pretty much it. We wouldn't really see Brock Lesnar again for almost 2 years, and Brock Lesnar, it looked like was pretty much done. His name had come up in the Vince McMahon sex trafficking scandal. There were plans for Brock Lesnar to have a match against Dominic Mysterio at Elimination Chamber, but that didn't happen. And there were also plans for possibly a Brock Lesnar versus Gunther match, but all of those plans were pretty much out the window, really. So we wouldn't really see Brock Lesnar again until SummerSlam 2025. But that run will be saved and covered for a future edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. So, in terms of the success and failures of Brock Lesnar's second run, I would say overall it was a complete success, but it wasn't perfect. Whereas Brock Lesnar's first run in WWE was just excellent. Nothing bad to say about that at all. Better quality opponents, better matches, consistently on TV every single week. That for me made the first run more special and much more enjoyable because Brock Lesnar was a constant presence on TV every single week. Now, with Brock Lesnar's second WWE run from 2012 to 2023. It was great. Brock Lesnar was an even bigger monster. He made more history. But the thing that really hurt him a lot was he wasn't there every single week. And when he was the champion, yes, he would hold the title for days and months and years, but he was hardly on TV. And that's what kind of spoiled it. As far as the quality of opponents during his second run, some of them were okay, some of them weren't that great. I still favour the quality of opponents from his first run. I just thought they were much better and much more star power to them. I would say the biggest opponent of the second run was definitely Roman Reigns by a landslide. You know, he was probably the guy that Brock Lesnar faced more times than anyone else, but not all of their matches were great. I still enjoyed their first one though from WrestleMania 31. I thought that was a very good match. And, you know, Brock Lesnar was booked to be this unstoppable monster, this almost final boss sort of figure where guys would try to step up and beat Brock Lesnar, you know, and obviously him ending the Undertaker's undefeated streak really made him a bigger heel, which worked, but still argue that Brock Lesnar didn't really need that sort of rub. I think that honor could have gone to somebody else. But when Brock Lesnar was on TV, it was special, it was a big deal, and 95% of the time he did deliver. Couple of the failures was his matches were very one dimensional. It was just suplex, 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 F5, 1, 2, 3. His matches were not really as entertaining as the first run because those matches he had for his first one were amazing. A couple of the matches he had with Taker were quite good, but you know, the quality of Brock Lesnar's matches from the second run, there were some good ones. I wouldn't say they were bad ones, but they were just very one dimensional because he wouldn't really switch it up. He wouldn't try different things, but him not being on TV enough hurt him. Holding the title and hardly defending it hurt him. But above all else, as I said, I am going to say that Brock Lesnar's second run was a success, but it wasn't perfect. You know, there were some things I had an issue with. But when he was on TV, it was awesome. Nothing bad to say about his presence. Always great to see Brock Lesnar, but just certain things that went on during his second run were very questionable. Still think he should not have lost his first match at Extreme Rules against John Cena. He should have won that. You know, they should have built him up strong from day one, but he still came out of it smelling like roses, so it wasn't all bad. But yeah, Brock Lesnar's second run from 2012 to 2023, a success, but not perfect. That's all I'm going to say. But still enjoyable, but I liked his first one a lot more. Just me. So anyway, that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on Brock Lesnar's second run in WWE from 2012 to 2023? Did you enjoy it? What was your favorite match from that run? Was it Brock Lesnar versus Triple H from SummerSlam 2012? Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from 2014? Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 31? Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk from SummerSlam 2013? Or Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker from Hell in a Cell 2015? And what would you say about Brock Lesnar's second run in WWE? Do you look at it as a complete success or do you look at it as a complete failure? Do you think maybe he could have appeared on TV a little bit more? Or do you think it was fine with how they booked him on the show? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.